if you realize you are rusty, I'll just tell you something that happened to me the other day. I've been working on doing some mild body work. I'm not a mechanic or a body technician for a vehicle that I have, and there was some rust on the vehicle. And I was trying to figure out how to deal with all this rust. You see, it's relevant here, and so I was watching a couple of videos of people doing walkthroughs of how do you address the rust, and they're conflicting views on it. Some people say, oh, if it's not bad, then you can just paint right over it with some good Rust-Oleum. But then on the other hand, people who I guess have more experience with this, they say, are you kidding me? Don't ever do that, because you're only putting a band-aid on a gun wound. The rust area will become bigger. There's no such thing as friendly rust. There's no such thing as rust that behaves itself. If there's a rust spot, then the only thing that it's going to do is grow and expand. And eventually, instead of you scratching off a surface layer of rust, you're going to have to replace the whole panel, because it will eventually rust out in the whole area. You'll be able to knock it with a hammer, and then a hole will appear where there used to be metal, but rust took it all over. So, a long story short, they said the only way to deal with rust is to get rid of it. Well, what happens if rust has been there for a long time? In your case or my case, what do we do? How do we get rid of it? Well, I was told the only way to get rid of rust is you have to grind all the way down to bare metal. Now, that might sound a little intimidating, but I'm going to break it down because it's a lot more easy to apply in our lives. Because when you have to grind rust down, you have to make sure you grind every area that is brown or copper or amber, that rust color, and you have to grind it until you see shiny, brilliant, vibrant metal again. And that means no matter where the rust is, you have to grind it all out and get down to the bare metal. Now remember that phrase, bare metal. You have to get down to the bare metal. Get past the paint, past the primer, get past the rust, grind it down until you can see metal again. So, why am I going through that crazy little anecdote? It's because it parallels what we have to do as well when we feel we're rusty. Often times we get intimidated at the prospect of doing something that we're rusty at, mainly because we approach it with too great of a complexity. We think we have to stay at the level where we were when we stopped or left off. We have to um, secure the former glory of all that we were able to do. And that is correct. You do want to be able to perform on that level, no matter what it is you're doing, whether it's playing sports or whether it's taking care of someone's life. You want to make sure that you are proficient. But here's the thing. When you're getting started, you don't necessarily have to preoccupy yourself with being perfect. You just have to get down to the bare metal of what you're doing. And what do I mean by that? The best place to start is back at square one. Get back to the basics. If it's music, instead of worrying about the modes and diminished chords and things of that nature, practice the scale do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Before you start looking at operating at someone, if you're in the medical field, why don't you brush up on the areas of the body and the Latin, learning all of the different terms over again before you start worrying about the heavy duty things, the heavy duty items and the complex advanced skills that you used to have and occupy. So to encourage you today in your quest to finishing something that you started, even if you're rusty, take confidence in knowing that you can go back to the basics. What are those four fundamentals? And I love what Coach John Wooten said about, he was a basketball coach who was famous for really getting people to understand the value of fundamentals. He said people would come into his gymnasium and, want to jump right into sports and right into basketball and just do what they came there to do, which was play ball and be glorious on the court. And he said, okay, great. Well, you have to tie your shoes again. And the person would look at him baffled and say, I came to play basketball. Yes, but you can't play basketball properly if you have improperly tied shoelaces. And so he was a very adamant about making sure his team mastered the fundamentals before they started looking at the advanced skills that they wanted to fulfill or saw themselves exhibiting. So he was a firm believer that if you want to get great at basketball, practice your shooting, your passing, and da 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 da. I don't know what they are, but if you're a basketball fan, you know exactly what they are. The four fundamentals that if you solidify these things, you get them as sound as concrete. You can have a firm foundation to develop any other skill upon. So the same rings true for our situation and our specific scenarios. Whatever you're doing, get back to the basics. What are those four fundamentals that if you can do these things, they will get you right back to being on a solid, sure footing. So there you have it. If you are rusty, do not be afraid. Do not let that intimidate you from finishing something that you started long ago. Okay, so crack it open, whatever it is, rub the dust off of it and get back in the game and get yourself some results. So keep on growing, keep on doing, and keep on becoming. Until next time, God bless you.